everybody. This is Debra, and I'm here with Kofi Ksa.
Greetings.
Kofi.
Yes.
We're here for another episode of Luminescence, and we happen to be in Wynn Park in Atlanta.
Yeah, beautiful park.
Which is right. Your event is about to start. Mindful meditation.
Yeah. We do. I think we call it Magic Mondays here.
Magic Mondays.
Yeah, and we do a mindfulness meditation. Yes, and yoga. And many of the times, my friend Chantella and her brand Feel Flow starts with the yoga.
Awesome. And Kofi and I met last year, maybe like a year and a half ago or something.
Yeah, I think we were just saying at an ecstatic dance event. Yeah.
Yep. And I have been following all that you do. So you have lots of different outdoor community events happening right now. Different meditations, yoga, wellness, health, well-being.
Yes.
Throughout the week, different days of the week. And you're also a magician.
Yeah.
And it's called the Mindful Magician?
Yes, I'm the Mindful Magician.
Mindful Magician. And then you have Mindful ATL,
yes,
which is the healing meditation.
Yes, my brand's centered completely with expanding mindfulness, the use of mindfulness, as well as anything that considers us being mindful about our health and wellness, starting here from the base of Atlanta, but also of expanding all throughout, what I call the, Atlantis, the people who are willing to tap into their more supernatural parts of themselves.
Yes. And so I've been like an attendee at a couple of your events, and I love that you said Atlantis. I've heard other people say that recently.
Yeah.
In the community, and it does feel like there's kind of this movement. There's already been a movement for many years, but it's been very interesting to me to experience, like during the quarantine, these outdoor events like popping up more and more, and people connecting to the earth and the community coming together outdoors in this new way. And part of why I was inspired to do the interview at this time was because I see you as a leader of this movement, and I really appreciate the events that you're doing, and I've benefited from them. They feed me because I need community. I can't be isolated from everyone anymore. And when we're all healthy and we're outside and we're breathing in the fresh air and doing the meditation and the practices that are going to keep us healthy, it's such a blessing. So I'm really grateful for your leadership and
Thank you.
like your initiative.
I feel like a student of all of these practices always, and even a master teacher for me is always like a master student. So for me, it's every moment in hosting space and creating events and more opportunities for us to come together as a community. For me, is always a learning opportunity. I'm always learning so much. And last Sunday, I had my newest event on Sundays called now what I'm calling Sunday Circle. I think I'm going to call it now. Mainly focused more on meditation and group discussion. Everyone who showed up there, I didn't know. So that was really great. Like, I think it was just maybe 7 months ago I started doing events alone, on my own. And this is the first time I'm seeing now, such great expansion into the community that I'm touching people outside of my network. So I'm really excited about that.
Beautiful. So I guess I have this like preconceived notion of you that you've probably like been really spiritual and aware ever since you were a child, but I don't know if that's true.
I could definitely say there's truth to that.
Okay.
I could definitely say that from a young age I was always very inquisitive and very more loving, compassionate, and willing to see deeper and look deeper into things than my peers. And so because of that, oftentimes my friends were older than me, or I loved having conversations with adults more than I did with children or people my same age range, or And so over time, as a magician, I was like most magicians, a skeptic when it came to spirituality and religion. In the field of sleight of hand, most magicians are very scientific minded and don't really touch on religion a lot. Even though there is a whole sect of magic called gospel magic, where magicians perform magic while talking about stories from the Bible. For me, you know, I was just had that idea of God and Christianity as fear-based. And for me, I rejected all of that, and I just rejected religion in general. But it wasn't until later that I started to study more about the connection between science and religion, and the connection between sacred geometry, mathematics, and what you would call the ancient laws of the universe, that I started to really understand more about what I could conceive as spirit and soul and energy, and how that's all connected even in this life, or what we may call the afterlife.
Amazing. And you're still pretty young. You're in your 20s, right?
Yeah, I'm 23.
You're 23.
Yeah.
So you've been a professional magician since age 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you've been a little shy about or saying all the different things, but I know you've been...
So it was amazing being 10 years old. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I know a few things. I don't know that much, but I know you've been on like some radio shows, some TV. Yes. I saw a video with you with Les Brown.
Yes.
I know you've done magic for Stevie Wonder. I know there's some stuff. It's not just like you're just a random magician. You're like, you really have a career with it.
I've been in it for a long time, and I've been so grateful for the support from my family, my parents. You know, I was 10 years old when I told my mom I want to print some business cards, and she helped me do that. She helped me pay for them and get it done, and took me to different places, the magic shops locally here in Atlanta, and different places to put my business cards up.
Oh, wow.
And I put on there like youth magician, you know? And so I got my first gig just because somebody was just so interested that I was young doing magic. Right. And it was a birthday party. I made $100 and the guy gave me $20 in tips. I made $120, and I was like, wow, okay, you can do this. I can make magic this, I can make money this quick, you know, doing something I love. From that moment on, you know, having a job was something I never could see myself doing. I've had very few jobs since then, but doing magic for Stevie Wonder was a really cool thing. My auntie is a radio personality in California, and she has been in the field of jazz and music for a long time. So she hosts music festivals and knows a lot of musicians all over the world. And when I was in Cali, she was hosting a jazz festival a few years ago, and I was hanging out in the VIP. Got to see Stevie, meet his family, showed him the only few magic tricks I know for blind people, which is a trick where I shuffle the cards together and I hand them to anybody. Anybody can do this trick, but it's really amazing when a blind person does it. So I shuffle the cards up, they shuffle the cards up, and then I ask them to guess which cards are red and which ones are black, and based on intuition, and they always get it right. It's a real cool trick.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was a cool time. And another thing I share, like, really nurtured me as a magician, is I was in a troupe for like over 5 years called the Fat Kids Comedy Troupe. It was started by a gentleman named Quincy Bonds, who played Pookie on Tyler Perry's House of Pain, if you've ever watched that. And it was a troupe for children from as young as 6 years old and as old as 18 or 19, doing stand-up comedy and improv. And so I did a lot of magic comedy, a little bit of stand-up, and a lot of improv. And it nurtured me as a performer. It was somewhere I was performing a few times a month and doing rehearsals every weekend. So it was an amazing time. Even when I wasn't doing magic gigs, I still had that space to nurture me as a performer.
Cool. So you had like mentorship and community.
Yeah, it was powerful. So
that's amazing.
It's been a lot of performing, and now it's just been shifting into doing more magic of the mind, more talking about meditation and mindfulness while doing this work in corporate environments, for schools, and for even churches or religious organizations. Just expanding about, you know, how can I share the magic of stillness, the magic of mindfulness, while performing actual sleight of hand. So that's what I've been working on and developing that.
Oh wow, to bring the mindfulness into the magic shows. Like,
yes, and I do it a little bit, and it's all growing into more storytelling and deeper messages and within the magic as well.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. It's so interesting to me. Like, I feel like there's like a couple different questions. Okay. One is, why not just stick with the magic shows? Why do these meditation events? Why do these wellness events? Why also do mindful ATL?
Well, I think
I know there's going to be a great answer. That's kind of why I'm asking.
Yeah, I would just say the biggest why for me is, I had a self-image and an idea of my life for most of my schooling life, of depression and really, not a great connection with my own self-worth. And it was only when I was able to get away from so much external influence on my own thoughts and to be so still within my own space consistently for days and weeks at a time that I really experienced a transformation within my self-image and the way that I see my world and the way that I can create with the external world. And so I saw that it was something that I was naturally sharing with others as I was healing. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm breathing. This is what I'm thinking about. In my friend group and in my community, I was sharing it. And, I realized that some people have these transformations, but they don't have the same ability to share and help others within that. So that was just a gift that Source gave me, partly through, my family. My mother is a teacher of teachers, and my grandmother was a teacher too. So I come from teachers, and I was always helping my mother out with trainings that she's putting on for teachers and, listening to her growing up about her challenges and coaching people. And so for me, like, it's always been something that I always naturally understood how to help people out. And so now it's just learning how to make a business out of it and make a brand out of it, and also to let the brand and the business be fueled by the mission to just help others.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that from you, and I feel like people really need what you're offering right now, because so many people have been in fear, and the world is like shifting, and we can't be isolated from each other. So.
Yeah, I think during this time, so many people have felt isolated, and it's been really interesting to see in my life how passionate I've been about giving my space and holding space for others, that I have not felt abandoned at all. I felt so connected to my community, and so I just continue to send prayers out to those who haven't had that and who are living alone and aren't leaving the house, or who don't have connections to people through technology, because I know a lot of people who are living from home but are still doing so much great things using technology, being creative. Right. So there's so much opportunity for us to be creative and to not step into the victim state. But however, that is really hard depending on what conditions you have. So I know, it's easier said than done, and my heart goes out to those who, don't see anything but, being alone right now, and or who live in homes of abuse. I know that abuse, I heard, is up 90% globally with COVID. So, I know that this is not as easy as it has appeared for me in my life, and I've just been realizing that this time is a time where being home alone, being forced to be home alone, I feel, and many people in the meditation and law of attraction and spiritual communities will say that this is a time that the universe is showing us, look within. And so I just hope everyone can learn how to do that and breathe and realize the freedom we have when we just breathe. Yeah.
And so, thank you. So, can you tell us more about, I know this video will be up, and probably the things you do will end up like shifting and changing, the days and the times and everything. People can follow you on Instagram at
magic.atl. And my other brand, Mindful ATL. Those are my two major projects I'm working on right now. So yes, I do perform magic and sleight of hand if you'd like to hire me for any event. And I also own an entertainment company where I hire out psychic readers, face painters, jugglers, and all types of circus arts, as well as comedians, and I'm connected to DJs and event coordinators. So if you're looking for anything event coordinating, I've been in that industry since I was 10 years old. So I'm here in Atlanta doing that as well. The meditation events, we're here every Monday at Wynn Park, Wednesday on my side of town in Southwest Atlanta at the third biggest park in Atlanta called Perkison Park. A lot of people don't know about it. And on Sundays, like I said, recently starting the Sunday Circle at Freedom Park, which is close to Little Five Points here locally in Atlanta. So, and Little Five Points, a little note about that is a space that I've been street performing for 6 years. So as a magician, street performing has also been such a huge space of growth for me, because you're hired for a show, everybody's expecting to see the magician and be ready to clap. But when you're in the streets, if you're not good, they'll walk away. And so it teaches you a lot about, how to develop connections with people, how to really, connect deeper to them, and when they're not expecting to be, amazed or entertained. So yeah.
Awesome. And then this might be one of my final questions. Like, so you mentioned how you're bringing mindfulness into the magic.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, and you've kind of touched on this a little bit already,
Yeah.
but like, how do you see magic in mindfulness?
Can you rephrase the question a little bit?
Sure. Like, what would be the rephrase the question? I just think it would be interesting to hear from you, because you do magic, and then you also do mindfulness and spirituality.
Yes.
So I would just be curious, like, I feel like you have a particular mind about kind of like, I don't know, you said magic ends up being more like science, really.
Right,
but
yeah. It's the science of like...
it's not so much like ethereal, because it's a science.
Exactly.
And so it's not so much that like meditation would just be like magical, but it would, that there's like a science to it. Or I'm just curious, like, what your mind as a magician, how your mind kind of views like the spiritual stuff connected to the magic in your head, I guess.
Right. I think
that's kind of a hard, weird question.
Yeah, it's a very loaded question for me as a magician who is also aware of magic with a K, right? Which is the practice of ritual and connecting to the powers of the universe, right?
Right.
So, I'm aware of that, and I've been so connected to that as I've grown in meditation, being a sleight of hand magician, introducing myself as a magician to the community here in Atlanta. I've attracted people who call themselves witches and all different types of things, and that's been really interesting for me. Like, and that's been a big part of my spiritual journey, is finding people who claim they do real magic. And so that's been really interesting. And so to me, what is magic is such a loaded question, because for me, there is magic, there is the sleight of hand, right? There is this art, right, which the person who Houdini named himself after, who was a French magician named Robert Houdini. And Houdini, the escape artist, who we all know, his real name was Eric Wise. And so Robert Houdini, a French magician, has this famous quote a lot of magicians says. He says, "A magician is just an actor pretending to be a magician." And so it helps you kind of step out of the fear and out of the mysterious aspects, realize, hey, this is somebody who just is really good at making something look like miracles is happening.
Okay,
right?
Got
and
it.
so,
yeah.
But then there's the other aspect for me of like learning how to actually manifest miracles in my life through the laws of the universe and connecting to ancient principles of that we are one, and there is no separation between my desires and what I want, and if I feel they are, it's just my internal mental blockages. And so, there's so much about understanding the subconscious mind and conscious mind and reality creation within, that's the real magic, right? And so I think for me, finding the connection between the sleight of hand and the real magic is a continuous thing, because like one way you could look at it is when I do magic for somebody, right? They ask me what the secret is. And I say, a lot of times they say, is it real? And I say, well, it's what you make it, Because even if there is a secret behind how I did it, what somebody sees in the story they tell themselves internally, who's to say that's not real?
Right.
I think what we tell ourselves is real. A memory, as many people say in science, is only a story we're telling ourselves, and 90% of the memories we have is not what actually happened. So, and to hear people retell the magic tricks that I do, many times they will say, oh, he did this and he'll do that. And I'm like, I know the trick that I did is not even what like the trick that I meant to show them or the effect that is meant to happen. They'll remember it differently because they're so amazed. They just remember the amazed part, but they don't actually remember what happened. For example, there's a trick where I make a card go into an orange. Many times people will say, hey, I saw that trick where Kofi made a card appear in an apple or a banana. And they don't remember it wasn't a banana, it was an orange. It's really important that trick has to be done with a certain type of fruit. But they always remember any type of fruit because it's just like Kofi made a card appear in a fruit,
Right.
So it's this story we tell ourselves about magic. I think for me, magic is, manifesting life, but it's also understanding visualization and the stories we're telling ourselves, whatever we feel about it. If it feels magical to us, if it brings up that childlike wonder, magic is also just a feeling. And I don't ever want to take that away from anybody, from like telling them that magic's not real. But I also, help people realize that I am an illusionist, right? I'd love to perfect the art of making things look magical, but at the same time, I'm really grateful to help people understand that when we're able to be still, tap into our own subconscious mind and clear away our limiting beliefs, we tap into miracle making and real magic.
Is this feel?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, I'm like, I think this
So
is.
people are starting to arrive, so we can wrap up our video. But all good.
Thank you.
It's
You're
all
good.
good. It's all good. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate your leadership in the community and you creating these events and like showing up and being of service. And you're such a light. And again, people can find you on Instagram, Kofi mindful dot
or magic.atl and mindful
and then mindful ATL.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me here.
Thank you, Kofi. Peace.
I'm so sorry, guys.
You're good.